various lectures and training programs. He is a mentor in educating students to understand the expectations of the corporate world to start their careers with multinational corporations. He is an entrepreneur and has traveled extensively to interact with various countries including Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Switzerland, UK, US, Dubai, and various other countries. He is also a financial coach and imparts various training programs, of which women entrepreneurship is one of his specializations. All of his programs are lively and he believes in interaction to enable participants to be at ease and further keeps the session active with real life simple examples and analogies. He's an advisor to entrepreneurs of family owned businesses and corporate leaders based out of India, Europe, and USA. He has officially worked in various capacities including finance, HR operations, IT, audit, and marketing. He's a founder director at www.aquilatech.com. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now, I would like to introduce our head of the Department of Human Resource Management, DG Vaishnav College, Dr.N.C.Martin. He's a highly experienced academician and has about 24 years of academic and administrative experience as a professor, HOD, dean, and a registrar. He did his postgraduate in labor management and PhD in labor laws from Tamil Nadu Institute of Labor Studies. He started his career as a lecturer from the same institution. He held various positions in the arts and science colleges, engineering, and media colleges. He has held academic positions in various educational institutions such as Sri Chandra Prabhu Jain College as an assistant professor and HOD of MSW department, professor and HOD of MBA department, and SAM's College of Engineering and Technology. He was also the placement officer for the entire division of SAM's College of Engineering and Technology. During his tenure, he successfully placed engineering and management graduates in top-notch companies of manufacturing and service sectors across the country. He continued his career in St. Joseph College of Arts and Science as a Dean of Academics and L.V. Prasad Film School, which is one of the best film schools in India, and worked as a registrar. He acted as a jury representing the Employers Federation of Southern Indian for the selection of companies for the best practices for the year 2018-2019. He has added a number of research papers and publications to his credit, and he is an expert in the subject of labor legislations and industrial relations. He has given centum results in various HR specialized subjects in the university examinations. We welcome you, sir. This meeting is recorded for educational purposes. In case of any doubts or questions, the participants can unmute themselves or type the questions in the chat box. Now I request our Professor Dr. N.C.Martin, Head of the Department of Human Resource Management, to speak a few words on today's topic.
Yeah. Thank you, Naren, for the introduction. So very happy. Good evening to one and all present here. So firstly, on behalf of management, Sri Ashok Kumar Mudraji, our secretary, and our principal, Dr.S.Santhosh Baboo, our principal of our institution, and the professors, students, and HR fraternities, I welcome you all. And my special welcome to our resource person for the day, Mr. Anand Pattabiraman, co-founder and director, Aquilae Technolgies Private Limited, for giving a consent to conduct the webinar for our students. We really thank you, sir.
My pleasure, sir.
Yes, sir. So this is our 72nd series of webinar. So this webinar we started from the initial the pandemic period, and now we are in the progress towards completion of the 72nd webinar on the topic of confidence versus knowledge. So coming to our conceptual understanding on the topic, so the knowledge and confidence are certainly the very important qualities and which are essential for anyone's success So whether it may be a sport event, or writing an examination, or it may be an attending interview, and so on. So we can say that the knowledge is the product, and the confidence is the way how it has been delivered. So whereas the confidence will act as a pathway for its practical applications. So knowledge can be defined as the information. It has been acquired through the experience and also from our education. So to put very in a simple understanding, so we can say that knowledge can be defined as a theoretical or a practical understanding of something or a social phenomena. So the confidence can be defined also as a feeling of a certainty of one's knowledge and our ability. So some people, they think that confidence it comes from achieving great things in their life. So this confidence, so it comes from our the basic understanding, and also which arise out of our experience. So this will be from maybe from our we can say it is from our education only. We can say the confidence. How do we arrive it? So this confidence comes with the knowledge. So example, I can say that I wouldn't feel confident playing a chess game because I don't know how to play well, and also I don't know the rules of the game and its movement. So being confident not only helps you to see new opportunities, but also it builds a lot of trust. So this knowledge for individual, it sharpens their skills like reasoning and also problem solving and all. So when we have like a strong base of knowledge, so it will tune our brain to function very clearly and also to smoothly without any hindrance, and it also makes our brain to work effectively also. So we become very smarter with the power of knowledge, and various problems can be solved very easily. So for that, knowledge is very, very foremost important, and it also very useful in our so day-to-day events of our life. And we can say that without knowledge, so our life will be full of misery, troubles, and problems only, because we are unable to find solutions for that. So the educated person, they can easily they can handle the things in life, because so knowledge gives them the power of understanding to understand the problem and also to find a solution out of it. So I could conclude that knowledge without confidence is like eyes without, and that is eyes without vision, and the confidence without knowledge. So eventually it leads to failure. So without the support of knowledge, the confidence is nothing more than we can say it is a misguided life. And confidence without knowledge is like a horse running in a race in a different track, so that too in a opposite direction. Then we'll know what will be the result. So with this a brief note, I conclude and leave the session to a resource person to throw much light and inputs on this topic on confidence versus knowledge. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you so much, Dr. Martin, for laying the, I would say, the edifice or the fundamental or the basis on which this entire session is perhaps tuned. So there are
Thank you.
some, yeah, you're welcome, sir. So there are some slides, I think, which Dr. Martin has already covered. So with your permission, perhaps I would skip those slides and focus perhaps on the rest of it. Before I start the presentation, I just wanted to give you a quick overview, because I can call it as a helicopter view. The presentation has quite a few components. The first component is in terms of based on what Dr. Martin has said, that is confidence versus knowledge. And then comes the applicability of it. And also we move into the new gen, and how the same subsists in the new gen. And it's not going to stop here. It would perhaps be extended to in terms of seeking an employment from the other side of the corporate as to how it's being viewed. With a small prelude, let me get into the actual session. I'm just skipping the session. This is just about my own self. By God's grace, I had the opportunity to interact starting from Far East Japan to the far Western countries. This experience helps me in terms of understanding the corporate's world in a better way. With this, let's start the session. Perhaps this is Dr. Martin and me never spoke. This is precisely he mentioned. When you talk about confidence, generally it means the individual's faith, belief, the credence, conviction, as you could see. The reliance, dependence, you can keep on giving the dictionary definition of what a confidence is all about. Similarly, knowledge is something that somebody gains, which comprises of actual facts or data converted into information, or could be an awareness, or sometimes it happens from the realization. And of course, it does include upskilling as well. Like again, your professor said, your dean said, it could be either through a theoretical education or through a practical know-how. Now, the big question, being confident, is it good enough? I am saying this or putting this question from a corporate perspective. What happens is the corporate perhaps try to assess a candidate in maximum of less than 30 minutes. Given the current day's world and the speed at which things happen, the question arises, is it possible to assess in such a short span? And should I be confident enough in that span of time? The second question invariably comes to a corporate from a HR perspective. Whenever I make such an assessment of an individual, be it he or she, would it be representative or is it only meant for the 30 minutes? Tough question, not easy to answer. The next one, there is always a famous saying, the first impression is the best impression. Now, does it hold good in the current day situation? We are going to cover all these things in the following slides to come. We'll first cover how a confidence is being looked by a corporate, how knowledge is being looked by corporate, and then get into the next steps. Now, being knowledgeable, like rightly said by a professor, the only indestructible asset. Any other asset that you possess, including money, wealth, whatever you call, they perhaps get eroded over a period of time. Whatever knowledge you impart, it always is with you. The next most crucial in the current day situation, I'm coming to it a little later, not only for the corporates, it's for every individual, be it like your Dr. Martin said, be it in your personal life or in your professional life or in your career. Upskilling is absolutely important so that you are part and parcel of the system and your knowledge building happens on a continuous basis. The next point, there is no limitation. In an interview, you are asked to participate in a jam. They give you a topic, you would have heard of it. You are asked to participate in a GD. They give you some topic which has no relevance to the role that you are going to play. But why? Knowledge has no limitation. They wanted to know how well you have prepared yourself with the situation and how well you handle the situation. Of course, the list keeps on going. But last but not the least, me and Dr. Martin never spoke to each other. This is the first time we ever had the opportunity to interact virtually. Like he rightly said, it need not be restricted to just getting a job. It goes far beyond and much beyond. Now, if you put yourself in a corporate shoes, or if you put yourself as an interviewer representing the HR department of a company, you have seen there are certain benefits for confidence. There are certain questions that was put forth as part of confidence. there are certain benefits that are put forth as part of knowledge building. Now comes the next important point. What does actually a corporate expects out of a grad when they come for recruiting? Students, please understand, corporate is fully aware whenever they come for a placement or you apply for a job. They are fully aware. I would have seen in my experience not less than 1,500 to 2,000 people minimum as part of the filtered candidates whom I have interviewed. Fully aware, I'm talking about the experienced one, not the freshers. Fully aware of what is the knowledge levels of freshers. Not only that, apart from that, corporates do look out for your basic traits and not only the expertise knowledge you possess. And they clearly look for the know-how and knowledge that you have gained from your projects, which are done as part of your college. In fact, I have to take this opportunity to say a real appreciation note for the wonderful promo video that was created by your college. I want to thank and also place my sincere appreciation yet again for the entire team involved in it, because that shows the dedication and the way with which things are being handled by that particular individual. But just giving an example. Why I'm saying in this context is, do not hesitate to talk in detail about the project experience, which is certainly an expectation out of a corporate. Again, going further, as mentioned by Dr. Martin, I'm just giving a polishing further there. Corporates try to identify your academic or theoretical knowledge and also the actual or the practical knowledge or the application oriented. Next, it does get into how well you fit for a proposed role, and then comes your emoluments or the compensation, where I'm sure you would have studied as part of your subjects. They do the merit rating and job evaluation. To conclude, dear students, what corporate sees is, as a fresher, when they take you, they have to make sure that they impart training in you. The lesser the time they spend on training, the happier they are with the prospective candidate. Why? What is the reason? The reason is we are all chasing time. We don't have time. So corporates is more keen to make sure that they get the right resource with lesser timing and more earliest being productive in their corporate life. Students, corporate is like it's like a tree. Corporate is like a tree where they like to make sure that you know your strengths very well, and you also consider yourself as a tree, and you clearly make sure that you nurture and build it over a period of time. When I say when you clearly build it and nurture it over a period of time, it could be your confidence, it could be your knowledge, doesn't matter. But imagine in your mind, it's a tree, so your roots allowed to be so strong and clear, and you clearly articulate yourself as well. With this, let's proceed as to how a student actually gets prepared. Of course, after this slide, you will have few interesting topics as well. The first one, which still is yet to change, perhaps it changes at a later date, is a simple question or a simple topic generally corporates take up is, can you explain about yourself or introduce yourself, as we could popularly hear. You would be surprised. I have got few introductions which were mind-blowing. So that is a way with which a person actually articulates himself or herself. It needn't be stereotyped. Nowadays, people accept anything and everything. As long as your basic traits are okay, it's perfectly fine with them. So try to see if you can present yourself slightly in a different way compared to the other person. Again, be confident in terms of what you know, if you know it for sure. Again, stopping not here. This is one of the major happenings, especially in your new gen India, which wasn't there probably 15, 16 years back when it's perhaps our generation. Be prepared to say a no when you cannot do. Similarly, be prepared to accept a no. World is full of reciprocation. You give something, you get something. Similarly, interview or an evaluation, be prepared to say if you do not know, very plainly, boldly, you do not know. Doesn't mean you say you don't know for all questions. I'm just sharing it with you. Similarly, please be willing to accept a no as well. Like your Dr. Martin said once again, interview or getting a job is not everything in life. It's just a small portion of your total life, which you always realize after you cross a little while. And please remember, this is a point which I always insist and say, whenever you are looking for a job, it is not a one-way traffic. The corporates also need you. Take this fully into your heart, mind, soul, and body. The reason why I'm saying this is, it is not like you are expected to always shake your head and take whatever they say. No, that is not at all the objective. It is a two-way traffic. There is a need, there is a supply. There is a demand, there is a supply. You have skill, you have knowledge, you have confidence, you have ability, and corporate has the need, and both of you join hands together.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. Sorry, your
Yeah.
slide is not moving, sir.
It's not moving.
Yes, sir.
1 second. Is it now moving?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think in the slideshow there is some problem. It's not moving. Is it visible? Readable?
Visible, sir.
Okay. So should I run through it again or can I summarize it?
Sir, summarizing will be fine.
Fair enough. In this slide, the objective is to let the students know in terms of how they get prepared for an evaluation or an interview. The sum and substance is, please understand, it is a two-way traffic. It is not a one-way traffic. From your heart, soul, and body, you tell yourself, I know this, and I am in need of a job. At the same time, the corporate is in need of me to make sure that I'm hired. This will give you enormous confidence. This will give you a bounty of confidence to face the interview. And whatever you know as a matter of fact, as a substance, be in your knowledge, absolutely nothing wrong in saying no or yes. Because corporates know in terms of what can be expected out of a fresher. And if you are some differentiator which are unique to you, herself, himself, doesn't matter. Be bold to say it. They do look for your project experience. Be bold in spelling it out. They do look for what is the differentiation that you have compared to the others. Do say it. The new gen is totally different. You are allowed to say a no, and please be open to accept a no because you mirror what you get. Now, let me take from here on a little differentiator in terms of what is happening in the current day's market. India yesteryear is completely different from what is India today. If you see the India yesteryear, of course, we'll be having one more slide to cover it. Directly from the undergrad, people were getting into job. But nowadays, people spend more time beyond academics. In a project, they get into the level of role. They get into the level of bringing into the table what they have learned as actual experience, even from the project. And not only that, they take even some type of upskilling in the area of finishing school. And not stopping with that, especially in India, I have traveled, as I said, across various parts of globe. And India, there is a bubbling energy in self-entrepreneurship. Why is this relevant in this context? It is relevant because of this irony. Corporates have a huge need. And trust me, students, we are not able to get the right hands. So you don't have to be worried at all. If you have the stuff and if you are confident of taking the role, then cloud is the sky. Sky is the limit. It's all cloud. It's like there's no limits and there are no constraints at all. And then self-entrepreneurship momentum is so much of extrapolation or so much of compounding effect in India that a lot of people have started thinking like an entrepreneur. And this is an icing on the cake when it comes to a corporate. Because if everybody thinks like that, I'm sure in another 40, 50 years, India will be ahead of US. Here, let's just for a moment compare the India old gen versus India new gen. Purposefully, the slide has a couple of very, I would say, humorous pictures, if I can put it. The elderly person, you could see when he was a small boy, perhaps he would be reading a newspaper or he would be having a map on his hand. That's how the old gen was. But today, he is forced to look into a laptop because you ask your parent, you ask your grandpas, they will say, we used to go to bank, write checks. And you will say, what? Going to bank, writing a check? I don't understand. I don't follow why I am saying this. There is a complete change between the India old gen and the India new gen. In the old gen India, now coming to the points, scoring marks, academics, being first in the class, being excellent in the academics, the only objective. Now, academics brilliance is appreciated, but not the only objective. How good are you in applying your academics to a real life situation? That is being appreciated. Old in India, a conditioned mindset. The boss says do it, I do it. That's yesteryear or the old in India. Today's India, innovation, out of the box thoughts. You all know Facebook, you all know WhatsApp. Mark Zuckerberg, at 26 years old, is a billionaire. Nobody ever thought of WhatsApp. Today, if you tell somebody I'm sending a letter, how they will ridicule you, you can imagine yourself. That's how the change is happening. That's the pace at which it is happening. Like your honorable professor said, it is just not restricted to HR. That's the reason a non-HR item is included here. Traditional days, people say, go earn money, put your money in fixed deposit, buy a property, buy jewel, etc., so on and so forth. Today, lateral approach, people say, inorganically, how do I find additional sources of income? Share market, oh my God, it's unbelievable, incredible India. There are approximately 2 crore accounts added in the last 2 years or 1.5 years from the pre-COVID levels till day in the share market demat alone. That's the pace at which people are trying to make informed decisions. Of course, whether they learn it or not, that's a different part. Next one. In the world in India, we were always told in the past to go with the need, meaning there is a need for you to get employed. So you approach a corporate and then you seek an employment and you get in and do whatever is allotted to you or given to you. New Gen India, people have started talking about balancing between passion and need. They want to say, this is my passion, and that's why I'm choosing a job. Or sometimes they are very plain, very blunt, saying that no, it's not my passion, I have a need, so I have come. And some people say, I am forced to do a balance between that passion and need. All these are acceptable? Very much yes. Today's New Gen India is terrible, it's incredible. You all come with bubbling energy and make even the advanced nation like US to look upon us. That's the last point. There was internet where a revolution was made by US and they stormed it, and India missed this bus. This is the old gen India. New gen India, digitization is the bus. You go and talk to anybody. In the earlier slide in the knowledge, I did refer to upskilling yourself. The first important upskilling is how tech savvy and how much have you upskilled yourself in terms of digitization. Extremely crucial. We are going to talk about the HR functionalities and the digitization in slides to come. And the world looks at India for digitization. Students, many of you or even your parents or your siblings would have taken a vaccination, I'm sure, either one dose or a couple of doses as prescribed by the government. We get a message and the certificate is downloaded in your mobile. Do you know even certificate today is given in such an advanced country like Germany or even in USA in some places in a physical form. But in India, digitization is the new path, completely changed. India doesn't want to miss the digitization, and it is applicable to all areas and it poses a huge challenge and a huge opportunity to you young gen in the area of HR. Digitization and HR? Yes, that's the reality. Sail with the tide. Make sure that you also really understand the importance of digitization, because to give a small example which you can relate, all of you should be aware of ATM before the pre-COVID. COVID came, India didn't budge. India said move from ATM to Paytm. That's how the New Gen India is working. Now, having said students, I'm sure the functions of HR from such a learned college and such great faculties, you would have studied some of it, perhaps all these topics as part of your functions. Popularly in a corporate language, it's called as hire to fire. But the functions, if you see, it represents the recruitment and selection, be it the performance management, the skill and the learning part, succession planning, compensation management, information system, data analytics, all these remain the same. In other words, the fundamentals do not change, have not changed at all. But what has changed? The way with which it is being rendered has completely changed. Students, I happen to interact with a lot of corporates. Yesterday, I was in touch with a corporate, I don't want to name the corporate, which has not less than 10,000 people. I was in touch with the head of HR, and he told me that they have banned MS Word and MS Excel in their office. That is the extent to which the digitization and the electronic form has penetrated. He was talking about various HR products with me. And please understand, students, it doesn't mean that you do not do the basic functions. The basic functions remain the same. But how do you do it differently? You all know the concept of work from home as happening. You may be aware the concept of machine learning and artificial intelligence is on full swing. We are aware that the iris or the biometric is unique. In China, they're talking about walking style, which is unique to every individual, and they are capturing this data. Why I'm saying this is the basic remains the same, but digital is the way. So make sure that you convert your fire in the belly or polish your fire in the belly with the digitization happening across globe. It doesn't mean only data or getting from a physical form to digital form. Even the actual workflow or the process itself is completely electronic, digital. Work from home, how do you do your performance appraisal? How do you do learning and skill development? It is there. Today we are meeting virtually. We wouldn't have thought of this meeting 2 years back pre-COVID. In fact, I used to say in my other presentation, I won't be surprised if it's going to be ACBC, before COVID, after COVID. That's all. The before Christ and after death is gone. People have started about how things are before COVID, BC, how things are after COVID, AC. With this, when you come to the digi world that I was mentioning, India is adapting much faster than the entire globe. And students, you all will recollect your childhood days. Of course, in our days, it was much more. Whenever somebody asks you name your best friend, we used to give some names. But now all of us have the same best friend, our Google. So what happens is, instead of asking somebody, there is so many information available and it is abundant and plenty. So the challenge is not getting the information. The identities do not have any more value. There is no point in somebody saying or keeping something close to his heart or her heart, because availability of information is abundant. What is the challenge? How do you filter and get the right and relevant information? And one more thing, student, you would be surprised. Again, I was talking to another HR friend of mine. They have a 5,000 plus people working in the organization. He was saying it has become a level playing field. They are comparing somebody working in the HR department they want to recruit. They are comparing a New Gen India with somebody based out of Indonesia. Why? Parents would be knowing the young gen who are all in their teens now, let us say, not even, let's say 12, 13, 14, those types. They play games. Assorted. They don't even know the counterpart is from which country. That's how the new gen has become. Now, what happens? The mobile apps, the software, the portals make sure that these things are also enshrined in your individual self. Students, earlier India used to talk about money value for time, saying that you buy a land in so and so year, it will appreciate in 10 years, 20 years. But now the new gen India is talking about time value, the money for time. Time is money now. If I give you half an hour, what will I get it back? That is how the corporates see, because the days have changed. And now you HR, the most crucial role, you measure the time value of the valuable resources, including your own self in the entire organization. If you have this as a basis and you evaluate, you will understand what is written underneath this slide. Earlier, what happens? US always innovates or proposes an idea and rest of the world adapts. Now, things are slowly started changing. India is a digi and others are following India. And that's what is the current situation is. Having said, the way ahead, students, please be very careful in this slide. Establish your need very, very clearly. As I told you earlier, before you step into an interview or evaluation or a process, be clear on what you want. Second thing, nothing wrong in asking for your role. Very clearly ask. We saw so many functions of HR at a very broad level. The number of subjects you have studied, I don't have to mention. And then the topics. When you come to the reality, compounding effect is already there. So understand the role clearly. And student, I'm coming to the crux of the issue. Make a clear distinction between core and non-core that you see for your own self. I repeat this point. I keep iterating this. You should note to yourself what do you see as your core strengths and what do you see as your non-core strengths. One individual score need not be equivalent to the other individual score. Every one of us have a SWOT, which you popularly called as strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Do a SWOT for your own self and prepare what is core for you, non-core for you. Why? Relate it with the role and understand whether the role matches with you or not. If it is core, then ask yourself, are you passionate about it or not? Why you do this? You do all these things to make sure that you, first of all, easily crack the interview. Earlier I said, there is a huge demand. There is only a restriction or a constraint on the supply side. You are all gems and you are all like diamonds. It is up to you to make sure that you upskill, polish it, and take it to people who are in need of it. Going ahead, or I want to reserve the last 15 minutes for the conclusion. This is the famous Napoleon's quote. You can be self-confident, no doubts about it. That is the first. But also make sure that you gain knowledge out of it and be prepared to part the knowledge to others, because it is extremely important that you do not retain always the knowledge with you, but you're also willing to share and impart. Share who can understand, impart or educate who cannot understand. So to summarize, to put it in a summary, that's what is written here. Whenever there is an opportunity in your core area, for example, if you are too good at speaking, then if the job is also going to be like a recruiter where you have to talk with some 50 candidates per day, then what happens is your knowledge scores. When the opportunity is going to be in a non-core area, for example, a person who can talk so well, but he or she gets into a desk job where he or she has to work on an Excel sheet. I'm giving an example. Now, the prospective employer or the corporate would see your knowledge. So, whether it is confidence or knowledge, it depends upon the role clubbed or coupled with the core or non-core. So the moment you get a clarity on your core and on your non-core, and then the moment you understand the details about the role with which you are going to be deployed by the prospective corporate, decide whether confidence is going to score over knowledge or knowledge is going to score over confidence. Students, in a substance like Dr. Martin said, coupled with Napoleon, what he said, you need to have confidence, you need to have knowledge. Having said, in one slide, we clearly said, only 30 minutes is given maximum for an evaluation. In fact, there are certain companies like TCS where they have even made it self-appraisal system. Nobody visits any company, nobody visits campus. It is all automatically done. So you should be in a position to make sure that, as we said, upskill yourself electronically, digitally, and identify core and non-core and take it accordingly. With this is the search you can make for my name, the presence in Quora and YouTube, and I am pleased to take questions. As told by me, I reserve the last 15 minutes for the question sessions. Thank you. Yeah. Is there any doubts?
What is the role of preparation in gaining confidence?
Okay. The role of preparation stems from the basic core that the individual considers as present in himself or herself. For example, that's the example I'm repeating the same example. Some people may be too extrovert. That is, they are absolutely open to talk and to meet and to be open and friendly with everybody. If this role, if this is considered as a core in an individual, that person can be confident that if he or she is offered a position of a recruiter in a particular company, blindly and confidently he and she can take. For example, the company may ask, the candidate may not be willing to talk to you. He can say, I am confident that I'll be able to make them join. Because it stems from the core. It stems from her or his basics, the foundation, which is present or imbibed in that individual. So the confident automatically will come to the table when the question is put forth to them. Having said, in the same situation, imagine a person who is totally introvert, who is a little bit shy, or who is not that outcoming. In that case, when they say, will you be able to perform the role of a recruiter in the current day situation, with confidence, he or she can say, I'm really not sure if I'll be suitable for this job. I hope I answered the question. Is the question answered, sir?
Yeah, it's answered. Thank you. And coming to the digital savvy.
Yeah.
Digital is more, it appears as a buzzword for students.
Okay.
Can you clarify what are the steps they should do?
Sure.
To cover the various aspects of becoming digitally savvy.
Sure. See, what happens is the new gen India, everything is since happening in an electronic form at a touch of a button or a press of a button. Try to do some research. This is what I meant as upskilling your own self. Try to do a Google. For example, try to find out some software. They may ask you in a topic, suddenly they may give you in a HR department, can you talk about people's strength? You may think that they are referring to the strength of a people. You may not know there is a software called as people strength. Incidentally, I'm not interested in that software. I'm just giving you as an example. They may ask you to talk about something like, payroll, which you would have studied as part of your academics. But what is expected here is not the physical form. It is all the electronic form. So if you go into the websites of what are all the digital things happening in the HR space, how a performance management is done in an online mode, how a let us say, a training or an upskilling program is conducted in an online mode. You would get some tidbits there. And go to the company's website and find out what the product talks. Please understand, the corporate do not expect you to have a mastery out of it. All they want is, are you ready for the new gen corporate? Because in a new gen corporate, when you enter the office, everything is going to be in electronic form. Everything is going to be in a digital form. Papers are getting vanished. I won't be surprised if newspapers are going to be in the libraries. So to answer your point, sir, please do try to see by using, as I told you, all of us, we have the same best friend Google, to figure out in terms of what types of technological softwares are available for the functionalities of HR that we have described, because those basics have not changed at all, and get familiarized with the same. As simple as that. Have I answered your question, sir?
Yeah, very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Yes, how to, okay. The question has come to me, how to build to increase self-confidence. See, please understand, once again, I'm telling you, it is not like whether confidence wins or knowledge wins. If you go back to the slide which I showed, you have to basically first identify what is your core strength. The moment you identify your core strength, for example, if you are too good and too patient in terms of working, structured, highly organized, you are best suited in a payroll department, because imagine you are in charge of company's money. You will be distributing money in dollars or in crores of Indian rupees. They want somebody who remains undisturbed, concentrated, organized, perfect, and rightfully does the job. So what happens is, you don't have to be worried about the self-confidence at all. Spend some time in just realizing yourself. Just close your eyes and find out, or scribe or write in a paper, what are all the points which are your strengths. And trust me, students, whoever has asked, it is applicable to everyone. Every one of us have individual strength. Hope it answers the question. Okay. Thank you very much. What is the other question?
Sir, what are the practices that you follow to boost the confidence level of employees in your organization?
Okay, fantastic question. What are the confidence level I boost? I tell them one simple mantra. You are not dependent on the company, but the company is dependent on you. Because that's the truth. As I told you, of course, you are from HR, but nothing wrong in mentioning about a little bit of economics. It's all a demand supply. India yesteryear, people were always talking about companies giving job, but now it's like the young grads choosing jobs. So automatically your self-confidence will increase. You don't have to do anything. Just write in a very simple way what your strengths, that will do more than good to you. And trust me, in our organization, I encourage in another way. Of course, this is not the right forum. I have also taught them the way to earn additional income without being 100% dependent on anybody, because I believe there's only one thing is constant in life, that is change. And I hope I answered. Otherwise, I'll be elaborating more. You're welcome. Okay, this is a fantastic.
Can you throw some light on succession planning, which in most companies remain as agenda than in practice?
Yes, sir. I will take this question first and then come to the next question, which is being asked on the overconfidence. So succession planning, basically in my interaction, in fact, I tell my office colleagues when I leave my office, be prepared for tomorrow if I do not return. And this tends basically over a period of time, from the way you handle a thing or a scenario. As I told in the initial slide, do not try to have it to your own self. I'm not saying you have to reveal everything and do not be confidential. No, not at all. There is a very thin line of distinction between confidentiality and making sure that you always try to identify somebody on whom you impart the knowledge. And that's what we said as part of Napoleon's statement. First, you gain the self-confidence and then try to impart it to somebody. It's really important because what happens is, we saw the COVID times. Nobody expected there would be a situation of work from home. If you have really not told everything to another person, when I say everything, don't take it in its literal sense. And just for the purpose of referring, I'm using that word. At least you should trust and identify and pick one or two whom you think can be groomed to be your successor. And nothing wrong in exhibiting to a corporate world. I do this job. I would also make sure that somebody else knows this job so that when you are not there, things do not come to standstill. India yesteryear, people always thought it's not only to me, it's a great pride, but now, no, it's not that way. The moment you say it is known to him also, it is known to her also, it's a welcome sign, sir. And that's how the corporate looks at it. I hope I have answered the question, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and one more point I would like to say, sir, on succession planning. Dear students, in my humble experience, also the way you conduct yourself in an organization, the succession planning sometimes happen on its own. The way you behave. For example, if there is a meeting at 9, make sure that you are there at 9. Just an example I share, because in German, especially when I was at Germany or at Japan, when I go at 9:01, they say you are not there for the meeting because it's cancelled at 9. You are at 9, you are at 9, as simple as that. And I'll take a couple of questions. One is overconfidence. Please note, do not be overconfident, because we all think sometimes we know everything, but end of the day, there could always be a probability that somebody knows better than us. So it is advisable not to use any superlative language in English, saying like the best or I am the person. Don't do like that. Do not have a personal ego, but nothing wrong in having a professional ego and having a code of conduct for you. Okay, the next question has come. When it comes to choosing career, there is controversy. You are right. You are right. No doubts about it. That's why I said time has come in India where you can do a balance between your need and passion. To answer your question, how do you handle the situation is, sometimes you keep in tied with the need. In parallel, try to look or upskill where you can monetize in several ways. Just to give an example, a currency trading, a share trading, there are so many ways. I'm just stopping with a couple of examples because that's an elaborate topic itself per se. But one thing I can tell you, there is absolutely nothing wrong in going with your passion. You can pursue it, perhaps may not be right away it is possible, but you can always look for an opportunity. Number one. Number two, that's where I said, even within a job, nothing wrong in saying or taking a call that this job doesn't suit me. You can say in a polite way. For example, if your passion is to do a desk job and not talk to people, you can say, is there any other role for which I may be considered, in a polite way? It depends on how do you articulate yourself. Hope I answered the question. You're welcome. Any other questions, please?
If you have to imbibe some suggestions in the education curriculum,
Yes, sir.
to satisfy corporate and country needs or today's needs, what
Yes,
will
sir.
you suggest?
Sir, I think I'm not sure about the actual project experience, what the students actually go through. In my limited understanding and in my interaction, the application know-how is still lacking in majority of the students. Of course, it may not be applicable in your case. I'm really not sure about it. That's something I think the colleges can consider to actively engage. And when it comes to that, let them get exposed. I have seen a lot of people taking a pride in saying that I have done my project in Infosys, I have done my project in TCS, I have done my project in Maruti, Bajaj Finance, so on and so forth. It's not about, the corporates do not look for the names or the prospective employers not look for the names. What they're interested is the precise role. So if as part of your curriculum, you are spending more time, almost half the time is spent with the learned professors. They are the gurujis with who actually play the mentor role in blending the new gen. If they are put on various projects and you assist them in finding out in terms of how they have actually applied the academic knowledge they have learned, I think that will be of great use, and kindly include a space for Digi and do not stop with manual events. This is the first point I would like to say from my experience. The second point is it would be great if the professors can identify mentors or perhaps peers amongst the students who can perhaps interact with the co-students to find out or figure out his or her strengths, because there are many times where I have experienced we take somebody inside and then find out this is not the actual core of his or herself, and we are forced to change the role. If that can be highlighted to the individual, I think he or she will be totally ready. And in a single sentence, if I have to say, if the concept of finishing school can be taken up by the college, I think the diamonds get really polished, sir. I hope I answered the question, sir.
You answered, many corporates have taken the job of doing a finishing school job.
You are right, yes, sir. You are right, sir. But as part of corporates, what happens is sometimes when the finishing school job is done, it stems from their needs, sir. For example, like I told you, if I am in need of, for example, let's say recruitment specialist, or I'm in need of, we saw HR as a huge, vast area, sir. When the corporates do the finishing school, I'm really not sure if they cover the entire edifice, number one. And number two, if it is going to be part of the education system itself, the time you spend, sir, as a professor with the students, you may precisely know A or B would be more amenable and more appropriate for a HR MIS, because he or she may have the details with utmost confidentiality. And you may know there may be yet another student who may or may not keep things always confidential. He or she may take a pride in saying that I know this number, I don't know this number, or I know his number or her number. Then you would perhaps keep him or her away from this role, sir. So in my view, a blend, meaning joining hands with the corporate and giving a finished school, maybe is more appropriate, sir. Because you would be able to also figure out the ratio of in terms of how many people are being trained. On all these aspects, you would be able to do a clear compartmentalization, sir, in terms of who requires what touch and what type of a finishing school and what bucket can be, how a peer student can be there and how many students can be attached to them, so on and so forth. And if you are also going to be part of the system, I think that will give a complete full suit, sir. This is just my humble view, sir. I'm not sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Can you throw some light on personal branding as a follow-up of your subject?
Personal branding on a follow of my subject, sir.
That is confidence versus knowledge.
Okay. Sir, in my view, what happens is sometimes when I see people, they get, especially the young grads, they are being misguided by saying that you have to do various steps. Let's say they start saying that in this organization, they will talk you, they will consider you only if you behave like this, or only if you talk with authority. Either this extreme, or sometimes they say you do a research or you try to see something in the Google in the evening and go in the next day for the interview and try to present as if you know. If you say no, they won't take. No, it's not that way, sir. The corporate is clearly aware. Whoever comes for an evaluation is clearly aware on what is or what can be expected out of a young grad. What they actually have to decide is, if a person claims to have knowledge, be it herself or himself, they should really know it. If they say they have studied performance appraisal, for example, I'm saying, if they say if they claim that they know about learning and upskilling programs or training programs, what they expect is whatever they claim, are they able to present it to the corporate so that they will be in a position to decide how much of time they need to invest with this young grad to actually polish them. I hope I answered the question, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Please feel free to ask me. Okay, so can I conclude? Yeah.
All the questions have been answered.
Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful session, sir. It was really insightful. It is a pleasure having you, and we are looking forward to having you again with another wonderful topic. I would now call upon Ms. Pavitra of second year MA HRM to render the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. It was very insightful for us.
You're welcome.
Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. I, Pavitra of second year MA HRM, take this wonderful opportunity to thank our esteemed speaker, Mr.Anand Pattabiraman, co-founder and director, Aquilae Technolgies Private Limited, for sharing his valuable insights on the topic, confidence versus knowledge, which leads to success. I would like to share a few key takeaways from today's session. Knowledge and confidence are crucial assets to any individual. Self-confidence roots from knowledge. Upskilling is the key that unlocks the first and next phase of your professional career. Digitization is the new pathway forward. New India seeks for application-oriented approaches rather than only scoring marks. Having a balance between need and passion is essential for next gen. Time is money, hence HRs must learn to use digital means to expedite their operations. We, the future HRs, would really work on the understanding provided by our lively speaker. Sharing is caring is an age-old proverb. True to this thought, I would like to thank the pillar of our PG Department of HRM, HOD Dr.N.C.Martin, for arranging this webinar, and Professor Sneha for her support for organizing this webinar and providing us with an enlightening tour to the pragmatic arena of HR. Finally, I extended my gratitude to all the participants from various professions and students. Kindly fill up the feedback form which is provided in the chat box with your name and email ID. Stay safe, stay vaccinated. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
You are welcome, Pavitra, and thank you, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Anusha. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice
Your
evening.
knowledge
Bye-bye.
has gained our confidence. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Dr. Martin. Wish you a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
பண்ணிக்கலாம்